the life.
Look at algebraic expression.
Good afternoon, class. And these are examples of crops that we grow in Zambia and the life.
Look at algebraic expression.
Good afternoon, class. My name is Miss Mangilashi, and I'll be taking you in business studies. And before we look at what we're going to look at, first we're going to look at what we would have defined at the end of the lesson. By the end of the lesson, learners, you should be able to define what an entrepreneurship is. Next, learners, you should be able to describe the qualities of a good entrepreneur. The third is that learners, you should be able to state the ways in which you can strengthen the business. While the fourth one, learners, you should be able to describe the entrepreneur activities in the community. So now, learners, that we have looked at what we would have covered at the end of the lesson, you should be able to define what entrepreneurship is. So, entrepreneurship, this is the ability that a person uses to build up something from practically nothing. We're going to write it on the board. It is the ability to build or create something from practically nothing. Next, learners, that we have defined what entrepreneurship is, we're going to define whom an entrepreneur is. Now we've looked at the definition of what entrepreneurship is. Of course, we have to look at whom an entrepreneur is. For one to start up a business, you have to be defined as a person. So you as an entrepreneur, you have to be defined. Now, who is an entrepreneur? So an entrepreneur is a person who comes up with the knowledge or sets up a business or businesses to build up a business or businesses. So I've said an entrepreneur is a person who sets up a business or businesses with a view to make profits. Why are we saying this? For you to start up a business of which you're going to have the knowledge that the money you're investing into, it definitely has to come back. So no person would start up a business without making a profit. It is a must that for one to start up a business, you're supposed to make a profit. Next, we're going to look at the types of entrepreneurship. Basically, there are two types of entrepreneurship. The first type of entrepreneurship is small medium enterprise. These are types of entrepreneurs called small market. What do we mean? These entrepreneurs, they operate within the community. They don't move worldwide. These type of entrepreneurs, they usually require a small amount of money for their business to start up. These types of entrepreneurs, they can start up with businesses like dry cleaning services, hairdressing, shoe repairing, all those, mention them there a lot. And this type of entrepreneur starts with a small amount of profit. I'll give an example of a person who starts up a business with a 20 kwacha. Here's a person who buys sweets from Tradekins with just a 20 kwacha. I'm sure by the end of the day, you would have made a profit of 25 or 20 or 20 or 20 or 30 kwacha. As you're starting up that small business, you will not expect a loss because people will be buying from time to time. This type of business, it can be a one-man business or it can be operating within the family. Why? Because it can be in the local community. This type of business also has a graph. This graph, it is showing how the business is going to start for you, the small-scale entrepreneur. The graph here, as it is starting, the business is starting here, it is showing positive profit. Why? Because as a business is starting, your profit will be there within a day. You'll be able to make a 25 kwacha from the 20 kwacha you started with. As a business is starting, there'll be so much profit, but as time goes on, the business will get to go down. Maybe you are going to misuse the money that you were using in the business. Next, the type of entrepreneur is the innovation-driven entrepreneur, which is abbreviated as IDE. This type of entrepreneur operates on a large scale. It operates mostly within the countrywide, worldwide. So for you want to start up this business, you definitely need a lot of money for you to start up this business. This type of entrepreneurship, it requires money because as the business is starting, mostly there is a graph. Mostly as the business is starting, the graph goes lower down. There is negative profit here as it is on the graph. There is negative profit as the business is starting here. But as time goes on, the business begins to expand. Why is it that there is negative profit here? Because when one was starting up the business, he or she would have invested a lot of money, probably almost all the money you had from your shareholders and the partnership that you made. So as you're starting up the business, it is not going to be as expected, but as time goes on, the business will expand. It will even live for many years and years to come. Now, learners, that we have looked at the types of entrepreneurship, we've talked about the two types of entrepreneurship, which is the SME and the IDE. Now we're going to look at the qualities of entrepreneurship. Learners, before we look at this, there are so many qualities that a person has before starting up a business. There are so many qualities that you can come up with. Don't only rely on the qualities that I'm going to list down, but you can also come up with your own qualities, even thinking outside the box. Business studies is not all about what you have been taught. Mind you, we see business studies, whatever we do, many things that involves money, it talks about business studies. So today we're going to look at 6 qualities, but you can also come up with your own qualities. Those you've learned, those you've heard of, even those you can think of. So the first quality is the entrepreneur has to be open to criticism. The second one is that the entrepreneur is supposed to be hardworking. The third one we're going to look at is that the entrepreneur is supposed to be independent and organized. The fourth one we're going to write is that the entrepreneur has to be innovative and creative. The fifth one we're going to look at is that the entrepreneur has to be responsive to feedback. Well, the last point we're going to look at today is that the entrepreneur is supposed to be a risk taker. Now, class, these are a few of the qualities that we're going to talk about today, but you can come up with your own qualities because we have said entrepreneurship and business studies, it is not only about what you have learned. So what do we mean when you say that the entrepreneur has to be open to criticism? You as an entrepreneur, when you start up a business, don't expect positive responses or positive points that will be given from other people. No, you're supposed to expect negative points from other people. So from those negative things you'll be told, you as an entrepreneur, you'll be able to learn. You'll be able to bring in other things. Don't mind all the negative things that you'll be told because you are going to be downfolded. So as an entrepreneur, you're supposed to pay particular attention to the positive suggestions that you'll be given about this business that you're going to come up with. We don't know what business you're going to come up with. So an entrepreneur also has to be hardworking. What do we mean when we talk of hardworking? An entrepreneur here is supposed to be working longer hours. You as an entrepreneur don't expect to be opening a shop at 10 hours and then you expect people to continue coming to your shop. No. I'll give an example. Here is a family that goes for work by 6 hours. And then if you open your shop by 10 hours or 9 hours, the time people will be coming to your shop, they'll find it closed. Instead, they'll go to other shops which will be open at that time. As a result, you're going to be losing out on customers, which is going to be a loss to your business because you bring in customers into your business. The third point we have here is that the entrepreneur has to be independent and organized. What do we mean by independent and organized here? Learners, the entrepreneur is not supposed to wait for decisions to be made for him or her from other people. You are supposed to be making your decisions at the right time to suit your customers, even to suit the workers that you work with. An entrepreneur is supposed to be working on time. An entrepreneur is not supposed to be waiting for decisions from other people. Well, learners, for now, these are the things that we have covered. The next we're going to talk about is that the entrepreneur has to be innovative and creative. What do we mean? By innovative and creative, the entrepreneur should be able to bring in new products and services within the community. As an entrepreneur, you should not only stick to the things that you sell. No. You will be told by your customers, even the neighbors, that you should come up with businesses, things that we need in the community. So as an entrepreneur, you should be able to bring in creation. Be creative. Creativity is what is required for an entrepreneur. Well, learners, as an entrepreneur, Here is an example whereby you started your business with over-the-counter. But due to high demand and growth of profit, you are going to start a business where your goods are displayed on the shelves. People get to move within the shop using a trolley or basket without inconveniencing you, the owner of the shop. That is being creative. So the fifth point we're going to look at is that the entrepreneur should be responsive to feedback. What do we mean? We're saying that the entrepreneur should be listening to what he or she will be told by the customers. Why? Because you'll be able to work according to the needs of the community on what the customers need within that community. Like that, if this is among the qualities you as an entrepreneur has, your business will grow. The last but not the least is that an entrepreneur is supposed to be a risk taker. What do we mean here, learners? An entrepreneur is not supposed to expect a profit at that point the business starts. When an entrepreneur starts up a business, you should have in mind to say, I'm going to have a loss. I should not expect a loss. But in case a loss comes, you should be able to accept it and not to be downtrodden, to feel emotionally no. Because on this quality, you are as an entrepreneur, you are going to learn how to compete with others. You are going to learn on how to manage other issues that you are going to encounter into your business. Now, learners, let us just look at a few of things that we have covered at the moment. When we started, we defined what entrepreneurship is. We said this is the ability to build something from practically nothing. We also defined whom an entrepreneur is. We said this is a person who sets up a business or businesses with a view to make profits. Next, learners, we looked at the two types of entrepreneurships that are there. We said there are two types of entrepreneurship. The first one is a small medium enterprise, which is abbreviated as SME, which includes dry cleaning, hairdressing, pedicure, manicure. With this type of business, you start with a low amount of money. And the next one we looked at was innovation-driven entrepreneurship, which is abbreviated as IDE. With this type of entrepreneurship, you require so much of money for you to proceed with your business. Now, learners, that we have looked at all these, hope you'll be able to answer the questions that I'm going to ask you at the end. Next, learners, we're going to look at the ways of strengthening a business. There are so many ways in which a business can be strengthened. But for today, we're just going to talk about a few, maybe 5 or 6. But you can also think of other ways in which you, a learner, can strengthen your business. Said ways of strengthening the business. What do we mean on this subheading that we have written on the board, learners? When we talk about, when we say the ways of strengthening the business, we simply mean the ways in which your business, the business that you have already started, can grow stronger. It can continue to work. It can stand strong. The ways in which your business cannot fall down. So what are these ways? You can come up with plenty of the ways, but you have to tell, I'm going to tell you just a few. 6 of them, but you should be able to come up with your own ways, because there are so many ways in which you, an entrepreneur, can strengthen up your business. Well, the first one we're going to look at is that the entrepreneur can be getting help from others. The next point we're going to talk about is that the entrepreneur can be reading from successful people that are in that business or observing. The next point we're going to look at, learners, is that the entrepreneur should be able to go for training. Next, the entrepreneur should be able to use communication. The other one is that the entrepreneur should be able to read books. Reading books. Last but not the least is that the entrepreneur is supposed to be active in the community that he or she lives in. Now, learners, these are the points that we're going to talk about today. But as we're talking about these, you can also come up with your own ways of strengthening the business. So now the first one, we've said getting help from others. Who are these others we're talking about? The other people we're talking about are family and friends. You can get help about that business that you have begun. You can get help from those people that you know have knowledge within that business. So those people can be the family and friends. The next one is that you as an entrepreneur can be observing successful business people within your community. Can be observing the successful people in that business. What do we mean? Here is a person who has begun to run a business that involves clothes or shoes. You won't just start up a business within a blink of an eye. No. You as an entrepreneur, you're going to ask for advice from people that have been in the clothing and shoe business for some time. They know how that business is run. They know some of the procedures. Others know all the procedures that are run in that business. So for you as an entrepreneur, don't stick onto what you know. Because if you stick to the knowledge that you know, it might not be enough for your business to grow, for your business to stand, for your business to continue moving forward and forward. The next point we're going to look at is training. What do we mean by training? Here, an entrepreneur can go for workshops that can last even just for a week or 2 weeks, just for you to gain knowledge on how to run a certain business. Others can go for seminars. Others can even do other courses that won't even last even for 4 or 5 years. But instead, you will just do a course maybe for 3 or 6 months, just for you to gain knowledge on how to run a certain business that you, an entrepreneur, has already started. The next point we're going to look at is communication. Under communication, what do we mean? That you can strengthen your business through communication. Yes, you can strengthen your business through communication by communicating to your customers and suppliers. When can you communicate with your customers and suppliers? You can communicate with your suppliers when you are in need of products that have been demanded by your customers to say, we need certain products, we need certain products. You can call them to say, oh, I need such products. What do we say? Communication is taking place. Or when products are out of stock, you can communicate to your suppliers to say, we need certain products within our shop. And when communicating to your customers, you can call them to say, we have certain products that are on the market. We have brought in new products today. So you as customers come within the shop so that you'll be able to get the goods that you had asked for previous time. The next we're going to talk about is reading books. How can a person strengthen the business by reading books? You can strengthen your business by reading books. These books can be magazines or brochures or anything that contains anything related to your business. Nowadays, there are so many people that talk about businesses. Reading books, they contain so much information that you'll be able to cover, you'll be able to upgrade your business with. The last but not the least, we're going to look at being active in the community. What do we mean by being active in the community? You as an entrepreneur can be moving from one place to another to advertise your goods or your services. I'll give an example. Nowadays, people have started